Thanks for joining us here on Seahawks Today for the second time today as we are talking all about Seahawks legend Richard Sherman. He loves this Seahawks team and had some amazing things to say about this group as they prepare for the start of the 2024 season coming up this Sunday against the Denver Broncos. We'll show you what Sherman had to say and react to it coming up in just a matter of moments. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. As a pro Richard Sherman show, we love the guy, had a great time in Seattle. I want to show some love to Richard Sherman. He may be watching or somebody close to him may be watching. We want to make sure our voices are heard loud and clear that the 12s are big fans of Richard Sherman. Like today's video to show some support to Richard Sherman, and we'll get started with today's show. Richard Sherman, the host of the Richard Sherman podcast from The Volume, Colin Cowherd's network, explained on his podcast why he believes in this Seahawks team. Richard Sherman, another year out of football, doing the podcast thing, also working with Amazon Prime Video on Thursday Night Football, doing an incredible job. One of the rising stars in sports media. This is what he had to say on his former squad. They are poised to have a really good season. Obviously, they will make the playoffs. They were built well to begin with. They have the receiving core that is explosive. They have the explosive back in Kenneth Walker. Geno looks as good as he's ever been. If you can keep him upright and protected, he's as good as anybody right now. The biggest leap is going to be the defense. They are stockpiling a lot on defensive lines. Jarren Reed, Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, and Boye at the edge. Chenna. Byron Murphy is going to fit into this scheme very well. Such tremendous depth. Riq and Witherspoon are going to have great years. This team is going to be a dark horse. I love everything Richard Sherman had to say about this Seahawks team, and he makes a lot of good points across the board. So let's kind of break it down piece by piece of what Richard Sherman had to say. Let's start with the receiving core of Sherman saying that this wide receiving core is going to be explosive. And for me, the way I look at it, we already know DK is great. Top 10 receiver in this league by about every metric. Tyler Lockett has been the most consistent player for this Seahawks team the last several seasons. But to me, what makes the difference of why this receiving core is what it is, of why it's explosive, is going to be the development of Jackson Smith-Njigba. He is the key to the Seahawks' success in that receiving core. He was already solid last season, but now I think he's going to take even another step further, and there's no reason why I don't think he can't have a 1,000-yard season and be that difference maker. You look at the wide receiver depth chart, and you can see DK, Lockett, JSN and Lockett going to be rotating between who's on the outside and who's in the slot. We're going to see more of JSN in the slot this year. And then don't forget about Jake Bobo, a part of the equation as well, who had a very good training camp and preseason. You look at JSN last year, 63 catches, 628 yards, 10 receptions, and 4 touchdowns. And that reception number wasn't far off from DK Metcalf. So just getting him more catches, you would have to think his numbers when it comes to his yards and his average and his touchdowns, all of that is going to come up from where it was last year, especially if he's on the outside where he was so good last season as well. Do you agree with Richard Sherman's assessment of this Seahawks team? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no, in the comment section and let us know. In the lead up to kickoff here on Seahawks Today, we are battling our Broncos channel to see not only who has the edge on the football field of who's going to win week 1, but also to see who can get the most subscribers on their respective channels this week. We want to prove why we have the best fans in the National Football League. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, this is the channel for you. We're going to be live with a watch party coming up on Sunday, in addition to our daily news and rumors, our weekly live shows, breaking news, and more. It's all in one place. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Number 2, Sherman pointed to was Kenneth Walker, saying he is explosive, and I couldn't agree more. We've seen Kenneth Walker a bit banged up the last couple of seasons, not playing the full 17 games. And I think for Kenneth Walker this year, it's going to be his best season yet. Year 3 is when we really start to see these running backs come into their own. And this is the best offensive line he's had since he's been in Seattle as well. Last season, Kenneth Walker finished up the season with a very solid campaign, despite the injuries and all. But I'm looking for Kenneth Walker with Zach Charbonnet alongside him to really just elevate his game and have a big year. Number 3, let's talk about Geno Smith. I think Geno is going to be as good as ever. I agree with what Richard Sherman had to say about that. That's been something I've been saying for a while. You look at what he did in the offseason programs, in training camp, and in the preseason, even the small sample size in the preseason. This offense fits Geno Smith's strengths. And it's very similar to the offense he ran in college at West Virginia that he was so successful in. And you look at the statistics, I think with the offensive line improved, with the receiving core that's there, along with the running backs, if Geno stays healthy, there's no reason why his numbers can't be better than what they were even back in 2022 when he was the NFL's comeback player of the year. A 2-time Pro Bowler. I think that Geno is going to be fantastic, and he's playing with something to prove as he wants to get that extension to be around in Seattle for a long time. Do you believe in Geno Smith? Do you agree with what Richard Sherman had to say there? Let us know. Y for yes, N for no, if you believe in Geno Smith or not. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Last-minute tickets, Game Time's got you covered. Game Time is a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have this new thing called Super Deals that shows you the best deals you're not going to want to miss on, folks. They also have their seat views, so you can get the visual to see what that seat's like. You pick out the game you want to go to. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat. Then you're checking out on Game Time. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Number 4, Sherman pointed out to the defense will take the biggest leap of anyone on this Seattle Seahawks team. And to me, this is where Mike Macdonald shows what he's made of why the Seahawks hired him as their next head coach. And we've heard the comparisons, right? The Sean McVay of defense. The Seahawks got their guy, and we know the personnel's there. The personnel has improved on this defense. But schematically, I think you're going to see a night and day defense from what this defense was last year under Clint Hurt and Pete Carroll. They're going to use a mix of 3-4 and 4-3. The emphasis on disruption. They're really going to hammer on stopping the run, and also their linebackers playing in coverage, winning the down, affecting the quarterback as much as possible. That's why you brought in Byron Murphy. A physical mindset, playing fast, going toe-to-toe with these high-powered offenses. That's what this Seahawks defense is going to look to do. Number 5, Sherman pointed to stockpiling on the defensive line. I know everybody talks about Byron Murphy, and we'll have plenty on Murphy here in a moment, but it's not just Byron Murphy. Remember, they paid all that money to Leonard Williams, right? They brought in Jonathan Hankins. Jarren Reed is still around. They have some real depth on this defensive line now. And although Draymond Jones right now is primarily an edge rusher, we've heard Mike Macdonald say that they still plan to use him on the defensive line as well. So they're going to be able to really mix and match and throw off these opposing offenses with these different looks that they can bring to the table. I think this is the most improved group on this Seahawks team from last season. Then you heard Richard Sherman say that Byron Murphy is going to fit well. And I am right on with what Sherman is saying here when it comes to Byron Murphy in this fit on this Seahawks team. It's not just what he brings to the table of filling that need of an interior defensive lineman with youth that somebody's going to be around for a long time, but also what he brings to the table. Yes, he gets after the quarterback, but his ability to stop the run as well is just as important, and it's something the Seahawks have badly needed. This is a guy with a thick lower half, shoots his hands straight, wide base and good pad level, can stack violent clubs, high-level force, as well. Byron Murphy looks like he was made in a lab. There's a reason that he wears a tattoo on his neck that says the chosen one, because he is the chosen one, folks. While we're talking Richard Sherman, I got to ask the folks out there, what's your favorite memory of Richard Sherman? For me, I always go back to the interview with Aaron Andrews. That was something else. What's your favorite memory? Let us know. A couple more for you, what Sherman had to say. He talked about Riq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon and said they're going to be great. And I think when you look at this duo, this is one of the best young corner duos in the National Football League. I think that the Seahawks have something really good for a long time between these two. Witherspoon at the nickel, Riq Woolen on the outside. Riq has been hammering himself about the down year he had last year and struggling tackling, but he's put in the work this offseason. Mike Macdonald said great things about him. We know about what Macdonald has said about Devin Witherspoon, calling him the smartest player he's ever seen, and he's taken on this leadership role in this Seahawks defense. Both guys are Pro Bowlers, and I think they're both going to be Pro Bowlers again. And then the final point from Sherman. He said off the top that this team is obviously a playoff team, and then went on to say that Seattle is a dark horse. And the thing I keep pointing to that I've said for the last couple of weeks, this team's not getting a ton of credit, and they're doing something special. They're really building right now with this roster and this coaching staff. This is the best-kept secret in the National Football League. People are underestimating this Seahawks team and taking them for granted, and they're going to be really surprised what Mike Macdonald's going to bring to the table. In fact, you look at the odds right now, the guys out west at FanDuel Sportsbook aren't giving the Seahawks much of a chance. They have the 12th lowest odds of any team to win the Super Bowl this year at plus 5,500. So, you know what? That's fine with me. Go ahead and discount this team because they're going to prove you wrong. And they're going to play with an edge, a chip on their shoulder, and I'm all for it. If you enjoyed today's show, want to show Richard Sherman some love, like the video. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.